So if we go way back, really, I've been working with computers since I was a kid. I was fortunate to have my uncle gave us a Commodore 64. So this is dating myself a little bit, but back in the mid 80s, and that was really my entry point into computers. And to load anything on the Commodore 64, you'd have to type in a basic command. So something like load star.star, (8, 1), which was like giving a basic instruction to load the disk memory onto the machine. And I didn't really understand what that meant at the time, but that was kind of my entry point to computers. And I was fortunate to grow up kind of during that golden age of computing, where every generation of computer was like a significant step up from the next one in terms of computing power. Eventually, and when I was around maybe 12 years old, I kind of started experimenting in DOS with Quick Basic, and that's how I learned to program, was with the manuals, within Quick Basic. And so this was before the internet really existed to any degree, maybe 1994 or so. And I lived in a very remote area with poor dial-up. It would take, to give you an idea, it would take maybe 8 hours to download a couple of megabytes of data. So very slow connection, no internet references or Google to learn things. So it was all from manual at that point. Would kind of get me into computers, and I studied electrical engineering in college, which was not directly related to computer science, but I went to school right at the height of the dot-com boom, so I couldn't even get into a computer science program at UC San Diego. And so I basically spent 5 years of my life getting a degree that I never used. And as soon as I started applying for electrical engineering jobs, the first one I actually got, interviewed in person for. There's a couple of PhDs that called me into the interview room, and they had me try and write on a whiteboard some very basic problems that I had forgotten, for my freshman year. So I was just kind of sweating bullets up there, not knowing what I was doing. And they kind of laughed me out of the interview. But the upside to that was that the CEO of the company called me into his office after the interview, and he said, I saw these websites you had built in your portfolio, and I've got to say, why are you interviewing for this electrical engineering job? You shouldn't be doing computer stuff. You're obviously much more capable at that. And so that kind of got me back into the computer world. And I had interviewed for a startup company shortly after that. And that was my first job out of college, was for a small startup in downtown San Diego. And they had later got acquired by AOL. And that was kind of my entry point into the entrepreneurial world. And since then, I've started 3 companies, and the latest one is 2020 CV, which I started in 2017. And we're really focused on building machine learning and computer vision solutions for augmented reality. So we build a lot of silly ideas, like we were talking with Austin before about a lightsaber that came out of a piece of rolled up paper, or talking dogs, or virtual hand puppets. A lot of my work is with hands as well. And so more recently, I've been working more in Lens Studio, which is Snapchat's kind of tool for building AR things, just because it's a lot easier to prototype. But outside of that, I, really just interested in kind of pushing the limits of machine learning, computer vision, and how that relates to augmented reality.